how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's wonderful to hear your voice, and I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you very much. And thank you for the very beautiful greeting for that today. It's very,
No
very
worries.
autumnal.
I also I poured myself a glass of red wine
Oh,
so that I could cheers the Thanksgiving with you.
oh, thank you. I am very sorry. There is a bottle next to me, but
Yeah.
I don't have my video on, so I won't disgrace myself on
No,
your
that's
podcast.
fine. That's fine. We can do it, maybe I'll mirror the image, I'll cheers myself, but we can, it's just in spirit. So here's to you and here's to
Oh,
America.
cheers, Paul. Thank you very
Cheers.
much.
God bless
Yes.
America.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Remember what George Carlin said, I love the freedoms we used to have.
But yeah, I mean that's worldwide, isn't it?
Yeah, everything's changed and it's kind of going downhill, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure you and I and many other people will be rounded up very
Yeah.
shortly
No,
for
no.
critical thinking, freedom of thought,
Well, it's
and
happened before. So.
yeah, good sense of humor,
Yeah.
class, and style.
Yeah.
Um, you know, any of those
We
things.
don't want that, do we?
No, no. So I read the second book.
Oh, thank you very much. How was it a better experience than the first book? Because the
Um,
illustrations get more ornate as we go along
the
in the series.
they do. I want more. Like I'm hungry for more.
Oh,
So
oh, I'm sorry. You have to wait until the lunar year of the rabbit, which
okay.
starts in January 2023. So Nilesh has started the
Mm.
color illustrations now. And yeah, so there's going to be about a year gap by the time he finishes, and then we have to do the production. And then hopefully we're looking into doing a sort of little box set. So for the people, I mean, you've read the first and second books. For the
Yeah.
people who haven't read any of them, they can just get all three all in one go in a little trilogy set. So that's what we're hoping to do. But then, of course, you can obviously get the third one on its own if you've already read the first two.
Yeah.
So that's just how it goes in terms of the timing. By the time I write it, and by the time Nilesh does the illustrations, by the time we do the production. So yeah, so we're looking forward to finishing the first trilogy. And that's going to be
Mm.
all, I don't want to spoil it, so I don't think I'm spoiling it by saying the time period, but it's going to be predominantly 18th century,
Okay.
whereas the first book that you've read is more contemporary times,
Yeah.
1984 to be specific, and then the second one you read has the medieval theme, which you've seen. So
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really do like it, but I have a question.
Yes.
Now thinking about the ladybird,
Mm-hmm.
um, he says that he's an entomologist. Is
Oh, yes.
he's studying cakes, right?
Okay, so without giving it away to people who haven't read it,
Yeah.
this is at some point in the book. We'll just say
Yeah.
no.
I can always cut this out. We can cut it
So
out.
it's a very I think a very funny part of the book.
Yeah.
But so because you're British, you might not be familiar with this brand of pastry manufacturers
And
because it's
Entenmann's.
quite common. Yes, it's Entenmann's. So they have. Have you and your wife been to America by any chance?
No, no, not yet.
Okay, so the supermarkets or the grocery stores are gigantic. I mean, they resemble the Waitrose and things like that in the countryside in England, but
Yeah.
you won't find anything of that size in the center of London. So the average grocery store is gigantic, and there are whole aisles of cookies and cereals. I'm in awe every time I go back. How do they, because there's so many different brands they try to accommodate, because that's enterprise, that's the American enterprise, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, there's not just one. We don't believe in a monopoly of cookie makers. There has to be a selection of 100 that
Freedom of choice, like the
yeah,
absolute
so that
freedom.
part of
Yeah.
America is still there. I don't know about the freedom of speech anymore, but at least the freedom to choose from as many cookies as you want is still there.
How do
And that's why everybody's fat. So
well, I was gonna say, like, I
Yes.
have seen pictures
yes.
of thin Americans. Like, how do they do it?
Oh, well, it's a place of extremes. I was born in California. So if you go to California, there is no middle. People are either like painfully thin
Yeah.
Or the postcard at the beach is having a whale of a time and all that. There's some fat person. So to answer your question about the Entenmann's, so Entenmann's is a brand of pastry. It's like Hostess, the people who make the ding dongs and the Twinkies, just these artificial, over sugary things that are responsible for creating type 2 diabetes. So you'll see in that, you'll notice that one of the illustrations has the logo, but we didn't put it all the way because of, there are cartoons of Starbucks and McDonald's, they're famous brands.
Yeah.
But my publisher advised me, don't write it all the way because if we get in trouble or something like that, they can't sue because it's not like for like. So it's a reference to that. So etymology, it's the study of insects and bugs, right? So it's a pun on the word. So what happens to the ladybird, which we shouldn't say, really, to be fair to those who haven't read the book.
Yeah, we can skip past it, but
yes, it's an amalgam. It's an amalgam of the concept of bugs, which the ladybird is, and weight gain. So So, and I don't want, I'm just being a little facetious when I say there's nobody of average size in California or elsewhere. There are people who are normal weight.
Yeah.
For example, I'm a US size 8, which I believe in the UK is a 12.
Okay. Well, that's pretty normal, isn't it? That's
I mean,
size,
at the height, at the height of her world travels, the Queen, that period when the Queen was traveling between when she first got after her coronation and up until 1976, around the time of her 50th birthday. I have a book about her dresses and her clothes.
Yeah.
So I remember that it was pointed out that at that time she was 5'3", which I assume she's around that same height, although older people shrink a little bit. And then she was a size 12 UK.
Okay.
So that's kind of considered average.
It's cozy.
Yeah, but
it's nice to hug.
Yeah, but because Los Angeles and Hollywood is the center of the film industry and there's fashion there, just like in New York, you look a little bit fatter on video. So I think they say it adds about a stone to the person on video. So when you see people who look normal in films and television, they're actually almost anorexic looking. When you meet them in person, I mean, you can see the bones in the back of on their back and things like that, and their rib cage. So I'm not sure if it's very healthy, but I've watched a lot of catwalks and things like, I've seen models faint because they hardly eat anything. So, I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do. Whatever your profession is, but I mean, I don't think it's a very healthy way. I
was going to say, I heard that, that old joke of how many cameras are actually on you, like, that because if the camera adds 10 pounds, you say to the person, how many cameras are actually on you?
Exactly.
Because it could be multiple, and they're more than 10 pounds. But I've seen this brand, the Entenmann's brand. I'm not sure where I've seen it. I think I may have seen it on Good Mythical Morning, and in particular the rich frosted donuts, which is the very dark one and smooth looking one.
Yes, those are popular. I don't think they sell them anywhere in the United Kingdom. There is a store called Partridge's in Chelsea that sells all sorts of disgusting American things if an American is missing those things. Like, they've got the Coca-Cola in the glass bottle, in the original glass bottle, and you can get Heinz ketchup and things like that. Fortnum's used to have a section like that, but they removed it, and now it's full of whiskey and alcohol and spirits.
That sounds even better.
In the great British tradition. I guess nobody was buying Aunt Jemima's pancake mix.
Well, I mean, probably not, since they changed the brand. Like,
we were discussing that before I left with my best mate in Los Angeles, and I actually find that quite disturbing, because by removing Aunt Jemima and by removing Uncle Ben, you're removing the identity of the creator of that product. I mean, you can call it racist, but it isn't. That's what that person looked like at that time. And that's what that gentleman looked like at that time. But by removing, now nobody knows who they were. It's just, there's no photo.
Like Uncle Ben's as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I mentioned. Yeah, Uncle
Yeah.
Ben's and Aunt Jemima. So at least when I was a child, I knew who made that product. Now
Yeah.
there's no image. So it's like almost even more racist to remove the creator,
Yeah,
the image of the creator
I don't
from.
like it. You know, I
Yeah,
prefer
yeah.
having that face, that familiar face, that brand, it's like you say, you've grown up with it from childhood, and that's part of normalizing, getting on with everybody. It's like if you remove that, if you hide it, then yeah, it does
Well,
seem
the
very
future
weird.
generations won't know who created that product, you
Yeah.
see. So that's kind of even worse
Mm.
because you're removing that person from the history then. You
In
see, the history of the product,
in
which I
in
find very disturbing, actually. I
yeah.
consider that even more racist than leaving the image on there.
And
So,
in that same vein of thought, what do you think of the the NFL and the change of names of traditional football clubs like the Redskins and stuff like that?
oh, this is like the South Park episode.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I'm not a follower of football, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I mean, you mean in reference to Native Americans?
Yeah, or
Um,
I think
well,
there has been maybe it's a baseball
well,
team
I'm
or
not. I
NFL
didn't
team.
follow it. I know there was the name change, but I didn't
Yeah.
follow the argument of why it was racist. Is it because the Native Americans are not the players and you're using their kind of image as a cartoon and that's considered offensive? I don't know what the legal argument was.
Could be. I
Yeah.
think the one of the most disturbing instances of that recently was when I think is it Hank Azaria from The Simpsons. I'm just think that's his surname. He voiced Apu for like over 30 years, and then went on a TV chat show and said, "Oh, I'm not doing it anymore. It's racist. I'm sorry." Like, and just quit. And so I don't I don't understand. He's an actor. He was acting
Yeah.
and doing, acting as a voice. And Apu is like a loved, beloved character, not mocked in any way. Yeah, he's based on perhaps a stereotype in America, but it's not.
Well, the most hilarious thing was the what is it, Splash Mountain in Disneyland.
Okay.
They've made a number of changes to some rides on Disneyland because of cultural sensitivity. So Splash Mountain, I believed, had references to Brer Rabbit or something like that, which I don't remember because I just remember going, I've been on it a few times, but I don't really remember the characters in it. I'm waiting for the big drop in the water. That's the most exciting
Yeah.
part of the ride. No, I don't think anybody's really paying attention to all that and analyzing and doing it a PhD on the way up from the on the ride. So I mean, you're there to amuse yourselves. So I don't know. And then the what is it? The Jungle Cruise, that's the first. We always started with Jungle Cruise when we went into the amusement park. So that was the first ride we always did. It's a delightful ride, and they'd removed something. I didn't follow it in detail, so I don't want to say anything wrong, but they've removed something that kind of was like indigenous tribal people or something like that. But I mean, I'm not sure what the problem is because I think they kind of look like that in real life.
Yeah, like I was going to say, tribal indigenous people do exist, and
So I don't know what's racist about it if you're just going on a ride and it's called Jungle Cruise because people like that do live in the jungle in the Amazon.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, even considering it or talking about it, there's a possibility of cancellation and being labeled as having, privilege. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't understand any of that, to be honest.
No. Anyway, speaking of privilege, I would love to ask you about. I just read today that you were given in 2018 the freedom of the City of London.
Oh yes. That has nothing to do with privilege. Lots of people are given that.
Okay, I want it. How do I get it?
Well, you have to have a connection. You have to have some sort of a connection with the City of London.
Okay.
And I'm a member of the Inner Temple. I did my law degree here. And then there are it depends on who invites you because it's not like a planned thing. You have to be invited to do it. So I'm not exactly sure of how the decisions are made. I don't sit on a committee or anything like that. So all I know about it is that I think they receive about 2,000 applications for it once you're invited, because then you have to make a formal declaration that you're interested in this or whatever. And then you have a little ceremony. And I think it was only very recently, I mean, we're talking within the past 100 years or so, that women were allowed to have it. So it's given to all sorts of people for all sorts of reasons. So there's not like one thing. It's just you have to receive the invitation from the City of London, which is a kind of a, people aren't aware that there are actually two cities in London. There's the City of Westminster, and then there's the City of London Corporation, which is a detached, it's a kind of separate entity, much like the Vatican is separate from the Rome.
Yeah, and
if you want to think about it like that, it's not exactly the same scenario, but it's similar.
You can see the signs up when you go into the certain area.
Yes, that's correct.
You know,
and there will be a reference to this in the third book. So watch out for it. So I don't want to give everything away, because some of you're going to read about some of it in the third book. So basically, people get it for all sorts of reasons, and sometimes it's for charitable purposes. Sometimes it's because they did a lot for charity, or they did something for the community, something like that. I mean, they don't just give it away for nothing. Now, in some instances that is done, but what I mean by nothing is that there are honorary ones conferred. So that means it was, for example, given to somebody like Nelson Mandela when he was alive. So this means it's a kind of a recognition for doing something great in the world or in that community, that sort of thing.
So would an honorable one generally go, is it like similar in the vein of like honor from the royal family and from the Queen? Would an honorable one go to foreigners of England and the United Kingdom?
Yes, they can be given to foreigners. Yes. Honorary one. Obviously, Nelson Mandela is was South African. So
and what does it afford you? What sort of
there is no privilege attached to it. Historically, there were historically, but they don't ring true to this day. It's not like I can get a table at a restaurant just because I have that.
That's a shame.
I only get that because I've been going to certain restaurants for 20 years, that you do that by having loyalty to the restaurant. But you can actually do that more with a CBE or an Order of the Bath, you know, one of the Queen's honors. That's more easy to do. But because the freedom of the City of London, it's not like you put it behind your name. Whereas with the MBE, the OBE, DBE, they do put it after their name. And it's kind of a hint, you know, because the managers at the restaurants always have a spare table. They have them available for VIPs and other kinds of people, like celebrities, actors, actresses, musicians, whatever. And there's no table 13 apparently in the restaurant. It's just like on Virgin Atlantic. I don't know. I haven't analyzed all the airlines, but I fly with Virgin Atlantic a lot. So there's no aisle 13 in upper class, for example.
Okay. And in some buildings in America, there's no 13th floor. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. I'm not sure about just America, but then again, 13 is lucky for some people. So it depends. And in Japan, obviously, it's a different set of numbers that are considered auspicious or inauspicious. So for example, 4 and 9. It's 4 and 9. Because 4 has the same sound as death and 9 has the same sound as pain. So in hospitals, especially in rural parts of Japan, there will be no 4th and 9th floors, because then you would have in their thinking a floor of death and pain in a hospital. So the lucky numbers in Asian countries tend to be 3 and 8, because the sound for 8 is, for example, similar to the sound for luck. And Chinese people, I hear, they pay extra in order to have 3s and 8, as many 3s and 8s as they can on their license plates and their mobile phone numbers. So because it just maybe increases your luck psychologically.
I wonder, you know, imagine if they thought that having 3 children or 8 children would be lucky and, you know, fortuitous. Like, what kind of a situation would we be in, you know, instead of just having the one?
Well, I don't think they're restricted to 1 any longer. They can have more. I haven't met a Chinese family who's had 8, except for I did know somebody who was number 12 among brothers and sisters, or there were 12 siblings and he was number 11. But maybe for his generation that was common, I'm not sure, but it was a family from Shanghai. But to answer your question, so in the olden times, for the freemen of the city, if you were found drunk in public, you could be put in a carriage and sent home, or in a cab and sent home instead of being arrested. And then one of the other privileges was, if you were condemned to death, you could be hung with a silk cord instead of the sort of common rope.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know what fantasy you have, Paul, about privileges, but I'm sort of glad those aren't around.
Yeah, I mean, normally when you hear or you see that, like in a movie or something, you know, most of my knowledge is from pop culture. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
But when somebody receives the freedom of the city, they go to a ceremony, and you know they might like you know, lay a brick or like cut a rope and be given a very large key, and then that person can like use that key to get into any building that they want. They just walk up and like they go into any business and go into any room and do anything that they want.
I didn't know this was was this the film you're talking about? This scene
many films and comedy series. Yeah.
Oh, like, really? I don't. Yeah. Is it in British comedy series?
Mostly American.
Because Americans wouldn't know what it is really unless they're given one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a British thing. The city of London is British.
Right.
So. Or it's we should say it's Roman or something.
I just meant like the freedom of the city, not necessarily the freedom of the city.
Oh, you mean
London,
the keys to the city.
Yeah,
that's a different concept. That's a different, It's like I was given the keys to the city. So, I mean, just because I'm a Visit Kyoto ambassador, it doesn't mean I can just waltz into a kimono shop and they'll give me a kimono for free or something.
Damn it. You know? How do we get those free kimonos? We need them.
But I mean, you can rent them. You don't have to buy them. A lot of brides, for example, because the kimono is so expensive, they'll have either a bridal kimono and or a reception kimono to change into after the wedding, because they're very specific. They have a very specific look, each one. So they're so expensive because they're all silk and brocade, very, very expensive material to create them, that simply people cannot afford them because you're only going to wear it once, hopefully. I don't know about nowadays, but the idea is to wear it once. So they rent it. It's typically rented for the ceremonies and then given back. So
And so is a kimono traditionally only for a wedding?
Well, there is a specific kimono that is a bridal kimono that is white and very heavy to wear. That is specific to weddings, yes. But kimonos can a woman will have several kimonos for different occasions and different seasons. So in the summer, when it's just too hot, they'll wear a lighter version of the kimono called a yukata. So it's more bearable. I mean, people do wear kimono in the spring and summer, but there is this alternative for if you're not going anywhere fancy, but you want to wear traditional clothes, then you have the yukata that is worn specifically for the summertime.
Are they? Have you ever worn a kimono or different styles? Like, are they comfortable to wear?
Yes, I have. Yeah. We did a kimono fashion show in 2008 with the Japan Society of the United Kingdom, and I wore the. It's a one for a young lady. It's a furizode, so they have these kind of lengthened flaps that come down from the arms, which is more suitable for a younger woman because the idea is that she kind of looks like a butterfly and she's attracting attention, whereas the married woman, because she's already taken, it's more modest and it's just darker color. The color scheme is different, so it really depends on the age of the woman. And then there are kimono for men, which are they're much more comfortable. I mean, I haven't worn a men's one, but I can imagine it's much more comfortable than the female version because just the way it's designed with the trousers and everything.
I've seen some online that are for men that I don't know if they're kimonos, but they look like silken pajamas.
Yes.
And I was thinking of getting.
They look very comfortable, don't they?
Something like that.
It's those hakama trousers.
Yeah, because I don't want to be scaring the neighbors when I'm walking around in the morning.
Oh no! Well, I mean, people, you'll be fine in America because people go into the store with their pajamas on. Nobody cares.
Actually, there's people who do that here where I live as well,
oh, really?
in broad daylight.
Are you in Kings Lynn?
Yeah.
I didn't know they did that here. I thought it was only America and China, because the older men in China tend to do that as well. It's not like a big deal. Nobody cares.
I still see guys walking around now in shorts in this weather. And also people in their slippers, in their dressing gowns, like going to the shop. There's a shop near me. So yeah, I see them going in and out there all the time.
I didn't think the English did that.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think they're meant to.
Well, I mean, maybe they figure nobody cares anymore. We used to live in I think everybody just lives in a kind of an internet bubble now, and they've forgotten that there's real people and real society out there.
Yeah, or like societal rules that would make Larry David lose his mind. Like,
I think they get to the point where they saw so many motivational quotes where they said, "Don't care what others think," that literally everybody does that.
Yeah, there's like tiny societal contracts, aren't there, that that are meant we're meant to abide by.
But it's how far you want to take it. Like for example, part of my mom's family is French, and in Paris, at least in the older days, it's not so common now because everybody just has their own life and they're not there to impress other people so much anymore. And Parisians have always been like that. But the standards were different in all countries before. And it was the case where you were expected not to leave the house without makeup on. It's just not done. Like it would be weird. Like you have an unfinished look. So it's not really that we've had this makeup discussion with other people on LinkedIn before. Like, why do women wear makeup? Is it for others? Is it for themselves? Well, it's a combination. It's just like Dennis Prager in his Prager University. He gave a talk on how it should be a moral obligation for people to walk out of their house happy, because everybody's got problems, but you kind of lower the energy of the earth by pulling long faces or being miserable, because everybody's got those problems. So there was this higher sense of, I don't know, I don't know what to call it. It's just a custom of looking your best, even if you're bleeding inside, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
But everybody's so emotional now. I went to several marketing conferences where social media has actually moved people away from standard forms of behavior into more emotional behaviors. So it's almost as if nobody cares now. And that's why you can see millennials or Gen Zs, they're miserable, they're on antidepressants. So I'm wondering if Dennis
and cynical as well.
I'm wondering if Dennis has a point where if you had the kind of behavioral standard where you weren't expected to be moping about like that, would they be as miserable? Because it does, if you force yourself to smile, you will automatically be in a better mood, I think.
Well, it's almost like memetics in a way as well, isn't it? The meme, like the idea, like the idea is a virus that transmits from one person to the next, and there's no quicker way to get an idea out than through new media like the internet. And so if you are like accessing new media constantly through your mobile phone, through your laptop, through your tablet, your desktop PC, you're young, you've got free time, and you're able to take on board these ideas, and you see input from the news and you think, man, the world is a cruddy place, then you very quickly at a younger age become cynical, become jaded with the way of the world. And then when you go out there and other people in your social circle or people who just see you on the street see how you are, like the guy is probably right, other people are seeing that and reacting to that, probably even subconsciously. So yeah, it's like the meme, isn't it? It's infecting people's brains.
I don't really, I get the news clips, but I don't pay attention to how they present it, because if you watched that all day, you would never leave the house and be depressed.
Yeah.
And people do. That's the problem. So I don't know what the solution is.
Well, I think maybe going back to the way it was before, like it's 24 hours a day now. How about you just go back to once in the morning and once in the evening? I mean, that didn't seem to hurt people back in the 80s.
I think there is an addiction now. I don't know whether they're checking the news, but I watch people, when you're standing in a queue or something like that, whether you're in an airport or anything else or in a museum, and people I don't use a mobile phone, as you know, and I just watch people. They just seem to check their phone every few seconds. And I'm wondering, what are they waiting for their life? Did they win the lottery? What are they waiting for? What are they expecting? Maybe they're expecting an email about something urgent, but it doesn't seem like that. I think they're just checking if something exciting is coming through in the email or in their social media. Yeah. And I don't know, the behavior looks like the person is addicted, like there's no control.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say, that these things are designed to make you addicted. So, the interfaces are designed very much the same as like a slot machine that you'd find in Vegas, that you get the exact same hit that you get when you play those machines as you do when you use
the
a mobile
dopamine
phone.
Hit, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you would feel that itch. You would think, oh, have I got a notification? Or even if you don't have like if you have your notifications on, or your sound on, or the vibration on, it must be a million times worse. Like for me, I always have my phone on silent, don't have it on vibrate, and I have most of my notifications off. So I only see something when I pick it up, which, I'm just probably as guilty as those people that you see in the crowd. And yeah, it's not doing me any good. I don't think it's doing anybody any good. That's probably why you're so happy.
I think I'm happy primarily because I've traveled a lot. I'm pretty sure of that. And I designed my life like that. I knew you have to know what you want and what you love. I think that's the confusion. People don't seem to know. Maybe there's too much choice. I don't know. But I just pick a thing that attracts you. Yeah. So for me, I know exactly what made me want to travel. And that's because I attended Montessori school between the ages of 4 and 11. So what they call K through 12, I guess, but it wasn't kindergarten. I just started it. Their system is by room numbers. So I just started when I was 4 and then left when I was 11. Most other children were 12 because my birthday is towards the end of the year. So I was always 1 year younger.
Similar problem. It's my birthday next week.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, next Wednesday I turn 40.
Oh, congratulations, Paul. That's 40 is a special one.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're 1st of December. That's nice.
Yeah.
My best mate is a few days after you, and her daughter is a few days before. So, we had one day, every day we would do these exercises that what the school is supposed to do is supposed to showcase various human activities. And in the Montessori system, it's very, very distinct in the classroom, because the theory Maria Montessori had was that if you just leave children alone, they'll naturally go towards what they're meant to do or what they're interested in. Yeah. So I don't think this technique works for every child, but it certainly did in my case. I think it's a very, very good theory for only children such as myself, and for self-motivated children, which was very true of me. I don't need to be told what to do. I just want to do my own thing. Whereas other children need structure. They need to be told what to do. And those are workers, the kind of person that sits at the desk or becomes, a bureaucrat, somebody like that. They lack imagination. They have no strategic capacity. So everybody's different, and they're good at different things. So I automatically, in the first what's called room 4, I always had to sit next to the colored pencils. Nobody else did. So the classroom is arranged in a way that there's an architectural section where there are building blocks. There's a musical section where there's some musical bells. There's a chart with all the planets for the scientific side. And then there's a language section. And then there are a couple of other sections here and there. So I happen to be the only one. I was obsessed with I had to sit next to the colored pencils and all the colors. Every color imaginable was there. And so were the geometric shapes. So So by natural inclination, I prefer drawing and painting, and I like to design things. So I have an artistic eye. Now, when we went to the next room, which was room 5, then it starts to get more advanced, because at this point, the children are anywhere between 6 to 8 years old. And this is first, second, third grade. And what we would have is poetry recitation. It's to improve your memory and make you remember things to quote if you're giving a public speech, like lines, things like that, which I think is very good training for public speaking later on. And some people hated it and some people loved it. I liked it. And then the thing we would have every year in this particular room was an international day. So I remember the first time we had that, America, everybody's an immigrant, okay? Unless you're native, unless you're a redskin, unless you're a Native American. Okay, so everybody came from somewhere. So every single person in the classroom, because I didn't have any Native American classmates, as far as I was aware. My teacher was Native American, married to an American. So she had Cherokee in her. But apart from that, none of the classmates were Native American. So everybody came in their traditional dress. We had a lady, a girl at that time. She was in a German costume. There was an Indian. So we had all sorts of things. And you were asked to bring your one dish that was quite popular from your native country. So I knew from that day that I wanted to travel the world. So it happens early on for some people, it happens later for some people, but generally speaking, by age 7 or 8, you'll see the favored inclination of somebody. So I think for me, what makes me really happy is that, thank God, I had the opportunity to travel as much as I can. Now it's a little bit more tricky. It's still possible, but it's kind of less pleasurable than it was before. That's the issue. I mean, in the 80s, you had, this bizarre thing with the same air circulating. So you had a non-smoking and a smoking cabin, which was amusing. But other than that, airports were places, and it's too bad I was a child then. But airports were places in the 70s and 80s where you could actually meet business partners. People weren't afraid to talk to strangers. It wasn't weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember because I grew up in Dublin, I think I told you last time. But my dad was English, and he worked in restaurants and hotels in London. So he worked there during the week or weekends, and he would come back, I don't know, once a month or something, because the money was so much better over there in the 80s for chefs. So he was a professional chef. So yeah, we would often go and drop him off at the airport, or go and pick him up from Dublin Airport, and he would often bring people back with him. So I remember there was a very large German fellow called Tom Schlingerman. I just remember this guy had a massive beard. He was big, jolly fella, and it was the first time. I just remember him being in our kitchen one morning. I think they might have been hungover or something. They might have had some beer the night before, and he cut into a fresh loaf of bread, and he started buttering this bread, this slice that he made, with the massive knife that he cut the loaf with. And I was like, Tom, would you like a normal knife? And he was like, ha ha ha, no, it's fine, I'm a chef. And I was like, I have this memory from being super young. So yeah, we used to go to the airport, and I loved it because I got to sit there and watch the planes come in and out. It was a fascinating day out for me.
And there were a lot less people. It wasn't as congested.
Yeah.
People didn't really fly. When I went to France for the first time, my classmate Karine, her father was French. And it was one of those scenarios. We were actually on the same flight back from Paris. And when we got back to my hometown in California, our classmates didn't believe us because it was so unusual. Now babies go with their parents on flights, but it was quite unusual in the 70s and 80s to do that. I know Europeans probably more so because you're in another culture in a country 1, 2, 3 hours away, where that's not the case in America. I mean, it's quite unusual for a child to cross the Atlantic and all that, below the age of 10 or puberty. Whereas, I know people, their sons and daughters would go on, just to go see the other parent or something if they were in a European city while the other one was working, and they would be 12 years old, and somebody from British Airways would attend to the child, make sure they were okay. But it was still unusual in the 80s, I would say. Now it's more common, but at that time, so actually nobody, you tell this story and nobody believed you. And we were chatting with her father it was Charles de Gaulle and all this. So it wasn't so much a coincidence, it's just there were fewer flights. So, and not many people traveled, and still I remember empty seats on the flights. So it was still kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
So.
Charles de Gaulle is an amazing airport. So in a previous role that I had, I worked for a German company, and the contract that we had was with L'Oreal, and we also had a contract with Dior, and we would go around to all of the airports in the UK, Ireland, North Africa, and Europe, and do electrical audits in the World Duty Free stores on L'Oreal and Dior makeup stores and perfumeries. So we'd go in, do an audit, count all the light bulbs, check all the drawers, make sure that everything's okay, everything's working, or size it up for a fresh installation. And then we go back, make a report, we take loads of photographs, then go in after everything had pretty much closed, so about 10 o'clock at night, and repair everything or rip everything out completely and put in a brand new installation. So yeah, I've been to loads of airports, and I remember one time, myself and my apprentice Dario, we were driving from Orly Airport to Charles de Gaulle, and I think it was a bit dark at the time, and all of a sudden this gigantic beast came onto the road, and we were like, whoa, what the heck is this?
What was it?
It was a wild boar, and it was massive.
Yes, that happens in France quite a lot. We hit one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere, aren't they? They roam across the continent.
I used to spend the summers in the Dordogne, as I told you, I think in the first podcast we did, and that happened to my homestay, the people I was staying with. And they took it to the butcher. They were driving late one night, and they'll just come into the middle of the street, and you can't stop the car fast enough.
Well, this was we didn't hit it, so it was all right. It survived. It's out there somewhere. But it was so big. It was almost as big as like a Nissan Micra.
Oh yes, they're huge. Yes, they're huge. And so what happened was Tony hit it with his car, and then they took it to the butcher's.
Nice.
And the butcher carved half of it for them and half of it for us.
Yeah.
And then the wife made a kind of a stew out of it, which was very nice, I have to say.
Would you not barbecue it?
I suppose you could, but the wife decided that the stew was
more
preferred,
hearty.
I guess.
I miss those days. I miss the travel. Going to Marrakesh and Casablanca and Tunis.
I love Morocco.
Yeah.
My favorite place in Morocco is Essaouira, which is it's a little bit above Agadir. So there's not much in Agadir as far as I could see, but Essaouira is a little bit unusual. It's kind of the beach has camels on it, and I like shells. So the shells there are full and intact, which you can't find those in Hawaii anymore because there are just so many people. Maybe in very secluded parts, yes, on the other islands, but no way on Oahu. Because there's just, I don't know, they're all broken, there's litter.
They're like stepped on.
Yeah. I mean, a few years ago, it was disgusting. There was a diaper. I mean, the bin was right there. It wasn't floating in the water, thank God. It's not that bad yet. But they just put it on the bin was right there, and they didn't put it in the bin. They just put it on this rock wall that was nearby.
Some people just have no respect. No respect. It's not even hard.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're just. You try to see the good, but I don't see one here. Maybe they had to go away in a hurry.
Yeah,
There's just too much work.
Actually, yeah, could be like, kids can be a bit of a nightmare. So maybe it was a toddler.
It's always amusing to watch families on the beach because the parents never looked relaxed. I haven't seen a parent look totally relaxed.
I was going to say, I haven't been relaxed for 3 years now.
Yeah. Oh, how many do you have now?
I've got two. I've got two daughters. Okay. I've got Penelope, she's 2.5, and I've got Annie, and she's 7, almost 8 months.
Oh yes. So, yeah. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, small ones. But yeah, no, not relaxing at all.
Well, apparently 2 daughters are much easier than 2 boys, because boys have a lot of energy. You have to run around after them. But the girls are a little bit more quiet. I don't know.
No, not at all.
Well, don't feed them Entenmann's. I just gave a good friend of mine earlier this week. He's got 2 boys, and I just gave him a bag of Skittles, which probably wasn't a very good idea.
You're a bad auntie. Oh no. Did you get in trouble?
Because I said just once a year, I bring all these strange things from an American grocery store which don't exist here or grow in the fridge or grow in any garden or allotment in England. So I wanted them to taste the rainbow. They sure did. Actually, I like Skittles now and then too, but just not too much. If you do it every day, then there's going to be a problem.
I love M&Ms. Like, what do you think of M&Ms?
Well, you can get those here, can't you?
Yeah. But in America, you have like crazy flavors with like all
we
sorts
have
of
the
things
ones
inside.
with the peanuts.
We get those here. We've had the peanut ones forever.
Yeah.
But now over here, we've started to be influenced by the American culture, or they've seen how popular the ones are with crispy bits inside.
I haven't tried those myself yet.
They're pretty good. And there's ones
because I heard Halloween is really big here now, which when I was studying here, everybody used to make fun of Americans celebrating Halloween, but they finally figured out how to make money off it, and I guess that's good for everybody. So apparently Brits dress their children up as well, and they go trick-or-treating and things like that.
It was when I was a kid growing up in Dublin, it was huge there. Because over here, almost at similar time, you have Guy Fawkes Night. So you have bonfires and fireworks on the 5th of November. But they don't celebrate Guy Fawkes Night in the Republic of Ireland. You know why?
I'm sure it has something to do with Peppa Pig.
Yeah. So over there, Halloween was a much bigger thing, and we had bonfires on Halloween as well over there. And when I was a kid, we would dress up and we would go around, and you go door to door, and people would give you fruit more than anything. So rather than candy or money or anything like that, you'd get like a pomegranate or some grapes or
really?
Or monkey
nuts.
That's
much more healthy, I think.
Yeah, that's what we used to get all the time. And then it wasn't until I kind of came over here, and when I lived up in the north, people would or children would be expecting money or a check or something like
really?
Or coins.
That's like the red envelope in China or something.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not right. And I'd like hand the kid a pineapple, and the kid would look at me like, what the heck is this? Thinking I'm a weirdo.
Pineapples are tricky, Paul. Those are tricky.
But it's quite an impressive present to get, isn't it, on Halloween, if somebody hands you a pineapple, like a whole thing. But I loved it when I was a kid, and I don't know if I was influenced by the movie E.T. as well, because of the scene in E.T. where you have Elliot and the family dressed up, and that's where like the climax of the film is happening, and you get to see that American culture. But I definitely experienced it as a child, and I'm glad that it's coming over here now.
Yeah, I saw that a very long time ago. I haven't seen it since. I think it's like watching old Doctor Who episodes. I think the special effects are going to be so bad, I'll just sit there laughing.
No, I watched it recently. It holds up. And
it's
there's
not
also
that bad.
there's a special edition, like a remastered version. However, the remastered version is slightly politically correct, because there's a part where Elliot and all of the gang of kids are trying to escape from the authorities, and they're coming up towards a police blockade. And in the original version, which I watched recently, the police, they have shotguns. You know, they're ready to take these kids out. And in the special edition version, Spielberg thought it would be a good idea to change those shotguns for walkie-talkies. And they take the mick out of that in South Park as well.
Oh, right.
There's a parody of that where instead of guns, all of the police and FBI have walkie-talkies. Whilst they're trying to catch the kids.
That's funny. Yeah.
So
that's interesting how they redo them so it's politically, well, according to one party, right? Yeah, because there are other people who think the shotgun might stay, right? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if it was an alien and it, you know, E.T. had you know, specific powers that could potentially be threatening. Okay, so he could levitate stuff. You know, he's essentially a Jedi. He's part of the same extended universe as Star Wars. Because if you watch the Phantom Menace or the second one, on I can't remember the main planet, but the main planet where all the Jedi temple is and the court and all that sort of thing, there is they have the little pods in the like Houses of Parliament where all the aliens are. There's like a family of ETs like this, you know, raising their hands. So there was nods from Lucas to Spielberg and Spielberg to Lucas in their films throughout the years. So yeah, I mean, if you're trying to catch an alien, you want a gun, not a walkie-talkie.
I don't know. I think they upgraded all that with Men in Black, didn't they? So they just have those laser things or the taser. I don't know, the Star Trek. It got more advanced in the 90s. Did you watch the latest? Though not the Men in Black with Chris Hemsworth, but the one before that, Men in Black 3. Did you see that? The last one with Will Smith? I think so. Yeah, I think I saw it on a plane, but I don't really. I remember the first one very well because I saw it so many times on a plane. But I think I saw the third one. Yeah. Yeah,
the third one was really good. Like the second one, it does nothing for me, but the third one was quite an emotional, nice kind of, you know, full circle for the film and everything. You know, it turned out that the Tommy Lee Jones character knew Will Smith his whole life, like knew him as a kid, and it was Will Smith's dad who had passed on, and he died, and kind of gave him the charge to look after his kid, and so it was always planned that he would become a Men in Black. So yeah, and it was nicely done. And then that fourth one, I don't know what they were thinking. Well, I know what they were thinking.
I don't know. I like all those alien things just for how they depict them, because I find it funny. I don't have any aliens in my books. I only have rabbits and other animals.
There's still time.
I know. I'm only on the first trilogy. You never know what happens later.
So,
I just find all that stuff with the like Independence Day and all that kind of stuff.
Do you like sci-fi?
Oh yeah, I love Doctor Who. I mean, the first thing I saw when I was a child was that we have this well, it was different at that time. We have like 1,000 channels depending on what package you subscribe to, but we don't actually have a TV in the house anymore that we watch, but before we did. And we used to have this channel that was like we call it PBS.
Oh yeah,
like broadcasting station. So anything that was British was broadcast on that station. Just so happened every Saturday morning, my first Doctor was Tom Baker, so the fourth Doctor
with the scarf.
Oh yes, I used to watch that every week, every Saturday morning, and I think those episodes were the best. But one of my connections on LinkedIn, because I do a lot of posts with images from Tom Baker episodes of Doctor Who. One of his theories was, I think everybody's favorite Doctor is the one they first saw. And that could be true, but I think the writing was better in the Tom Baker episodes. So I'm not sure, because I don't want to watch. I've only seen one of the newer ones, and I don't like it because the special effects are too perfect, if you know what I mean. I liked it. What made the older ones so scary is that the effects were so bad. I mean, it was so fake that's what made it scary, if you see what I mean.
I mean, they're like, I think because they're practical effects, or they're, you know, rubber suits or whatever, like they have realistic weight to them, don't they? So there's real consequences.
Well, that's what made it scary, is that because if you watch it as a child, it's frightening. Like there's some of I couldn't sleep afterwards. You don't get nightmares from them, but they were disturbing. But then when you watch, like, for example, the first episode I saw was Noah's Ark. Remember when the people turn into the flies on the the spacecraft? No. And it's these characters called the Wirren, and I remember watching it when I was much older. I was like a teenager or in my early 20s, and I was just laughing because the actor was when you're young, you think it's an actual maggot. You see this green thing crawling around in the spaceship, and then you watch it, you realize it's like a bubble wrap painted sleeping bag. It's very obvious it's fake.
Well, now that we're talking about Doctor Who,
oh, don't get me into this.
I was just going to say, like, the third episode of the Cybernaut Club podcast, I actually speak with Graeme Harper, who he's a British television director and directed Doctor Who.
Which Doctor was that with?
It says that he's best known for his work on the science fiction series Doctor Who, for which he is the only person to have directed episodes of both the original run and the revived run of the program. So he's been with all of them. He's 76 years old.
Yeah, now. I was thinking he must be at least Tom Baker's age.
Yeah, he is. He's 76. So yeah. He's in the third episode. So there's I met, let's have a look, Armin Shimmerman and Jonathan Lindsley and Graeme Harper. So it's the episode where I make a complete ass of myself with Armin Shimmerman, because I'm a massive Seinfeld fan. I love the Seinfeld series, and I can watch it all day, every day. And Armin Shimmerman, who is more famous for Star Trek Deep Space Nine for playing one of the main Ferengi, he was in an episode of Seinfeld as one of the characters called Stan the Caddy. And Stan the Caddy was hanging out with Kramer and advising Kramer through his court case when, I think, did he burn himself with coffee, or maybe it's a different one. I think it's Jerry's court case about, I think he crashed his car when he was looking at a woman who was walking down the street who wasn't wearing a bra. And so I'm excited because I get to, in a little bit of history of Seinfeld. So I mention it to Armin Shimmerman and I say, so Armin, cast your mind back to the year of 1993. Tell me, what was your experience like on Seinfeld? And his face just goes, like, drops. And he goes, yeah, I've got to be honest with you, it's one of the worst experiences of my entire life. And I've been waiting all day to ask him. I didn't play it safe. I could have asked him about Star Trek.
Well, he answered you. It's no big deal. You don't know what it's going to do, So.
I know.
Yeah.
But it is.
So on this thing about, because I know in your emails that you say you teach quite a bit. So one of the suggestions that a lot of my connections on LinkedIn made was that my books could be used for homeschooling.
Okay.
So because there's this big movement now, people are kind of fed up. I don't know what they teach in traditional classrooms now, but there are lots of things you can prepare in a teacher's synopsis, for example, and then ask children what they think of it. Like, in the first book where she makes a speech, the children can write a possible speech that was said to persuade the Bucks to build the Warren and things like that. So there are a lot of exercises that can be done from the books. So I'm looking into that at the moment. That's probably going to keep me busy all winter.
Earlier on when we were talking about the book, I was thinking, because of the way it's illustrated, you've got a lot of different merchandising opportunities there, where you could have, a coloring book where you have the blank outlines of all of the illustrations, and you could let children or adults color them in. So adult coloring books are massive right now.
Yeah, we have all those in mind. It's just that's going to have to happen after the first trilogy is complete as a box set. So we have those in the pipeline, but we just have to wait a little bit, unfortunately.
I also think that, like, those patterns and designs of your characters would look beautiful on cushions and things like that. So
or there are plush toys we're looking into. So while we're waiting for the third one and see what happens with the first trilogy, we'll be doing like the analysis of what people would like more of in terms of physical objects related to the characters.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, and of course Nilesh owns the rights to the artwork.
Yeah.
But I own the book. Well, the images are my ideas, but the actual way he depicts them, because it's not exact, because I don't have a background in graphic arts like he does.
Yeah.
So it's not going to come out exactly. So we did it evenly like that. And I've known him for a long time, for about a decade now. So we were friends before we started this collaboration, which is always helps.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I don't know if you've seen the original Harry Potter books that are going for thousands of pounds now, because
I think so. Were they?
Yeah, they look really badly manufactured. They look really tacky looking. Because see, what happened was she went with the original publisher because she wasn't very well off, right?
Yeah, all well known.
Yeah, so we all have to start somewhere, because it's not like we just born Shakespeare or something like that. So everybody's endeavors, everybody's main function, I think their profession, I always say it takes a good 10 years. So I just started these books in 2019 in terms of the first publication. So it's not like you're gonna become famous overnight and have 3,000. I have one friend who likened my book to, I think he's a famous cartoonist with The Spectator, and he did a similar book to mine. I mean, they're not the same animals or whatever, but the idea of the simplicity behind the book and beautiful animal characters are what are similar. And he was saying, oh, apparently this guy was really successful. Maybe you should get some marketing tips from him. And I read about this chap. See, he's had a 30-year career with The Spectator. So he's already well known. And then if you do a book afterwards, obviously it's going to sell well.
Yeah, it's easy.
Whereas I was in...
you've already got that.
I've been lecturing on art history in Japan and the history of medicine for the past, almost 2 decades now. And then my other area expertise for travel and tourism is in Japan. So it's not like I'm a well-known writer before, like writing for the New York Times or something like that. So it's kind of a new thing. It's a reinvented project.
Well, I mean, not yet, but future Pauline. Sky's the limit. When you look back 10 years from now, and you sat in a mansion and you're surrounded by these beautiful Dutch rabbits everywhere and bags of money.
I don't think I want that. I just no, I'm happy with the condo near the beach. That's fine. I mean, as long as I can go to the beach without the police being, like they did over lockdown. But so the point I was making with J.K. Rowling's books, the original Harry Potters, is that you're never gonna, I think my books were nicely produced for the sum we need to start with. I think they're not bad. But what happened was when I think Bloomsbury took her over from the original publishers, then you can have more fancy things done to the books. The production will generally look better. So
and the more you have, the sort of you can release those beautiful box sets with all of the covers.
We have to start off simple. We have to start off simple because it really depends on the it's for like Paulo Coelho. I don't know if you read The Alchemist, but he got famous from The Alchemist. He actually wrote a first book, which was The Pilgrim.
Actually, a friend of mine bought that for me.
Was it The Pilgrim or The Pilgrimage? It's either Pilgrim or Pilgrimage. But nobody bought the first book. And then the second book sold, and it's really by word of mouth. So these things take time. It's not as though, it's an overnight thing. I always knew when I started it, it's going to be a good 10 years. It's my new 10-year project. That's how I planned it. So yeah, it's like with everything else. I got the ball rolling on the lecturing, and then you add the travel and tourism, which I did about 10 years ago, and then you add the books. So every 10 years I do something new. Roughly about then I want to do something new. And then after these books are done, I'd like to continue writing, but again, I will look to do something new and look to do it somewhere I haven't been before. Because the world is a big place. There's a whole world out there. And I was discussing this with the other chap I mentioned, Dave Brown. He's my other connection who I've done podcasts with quite a bit. And we always say, I always tell people, I said, there's a whole world out there. You can go if you want. You just have to be brave enough to be in the new environment. That's the thing. People are scared. He said, well, for a lot of people, they don't even think that's an option. And I always wonder why,
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of thinking right now of, making a change of, I kind of, teaching is great. I love it. But
and how long have you done it?
I trained to teach back in, when did I do my thing? I started my PGC in 2011. So I've been.
So it's been a good 10 years.
Yeah. It's been a good 10 years.
Yeah.
I had a little break in between, where I took a year out to open up a Star Trek exhibition.
Oh wow! Look at you. Did you dress up, or is it one of these?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what did you dress up as?
Well, I was the captain. I was the general manager. Right. So I was like a hybrid between Kirk and Picard. I was a bald Kirk.
See, I'd come as Q or something. I just think that character is he's annoying, but he's hilarious.
There's on my website, cybernaut.club, there is a section dedicated to that time period. That was 2016, and there's tons of photographs on there. That was opened up in Blackpool. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so teaching. Yeah, I like teaching, but anyway, let's let's change the subject.
Yeah.
I'll make a little edit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
So can you tell me more about your educational background? Because I was reading, your list of accolades is amazing. So I'm going to open this episode with saying that you are independent lecturer of a variety of subjects, that you lecture for private member societies, corporate entertainment, private homes, universities, cruises. Are these your words? Because
that's my bio on Martin Randall. Yeah, that's my bio.
I stole it from Amazon.
Well, you didn't steal it. It's in the public domain. It's the original I wrote for each of the lecturers for Martin Randall Travel have to make a bio. Okay. So that's originally from the travel company I'm with. So
what's you did a BA in English and then you did law. So what other?
And then I have the master's in French. So I like the English system of education.
Can you speak French? Are you fluent in French?
I used to be, but if I live there again, it'll come back. But because I've been in so many other parts, I can't say it's the same because the language changes over time.
Yeah.
So, there are some words that I know that I've used since in the 80s and 90s, which the French people don't use nowadays. So you really have to be living there to be updated on every single thing. So you can say you are completely bilingual. So I cannot say that, but I can live there. It's fine. Yeah. And if I live there at least a year, it'll all come back, and then I'll adjust myself to the new usages, like they use subjunctive more, which is a particular tense. So the language changes over time. It's like the slang changes in England. People are always developing new words for things. So yeah, it depends. And I like the English system of education because in America, it's more Byzantine, it's more boxed in, like you're trapped. If I did my bachelor's degree in English literature, if I want to do a master's or a PhD, you have to, I think it's still the case, because I was a student a very long time ago, Paul. This was like 25 years ago. So
you have to continue in that. So
you have
field.
To do it in English literature. There's less flexibility. So what I like about the English is that you have this conversion course in law, because I didn't want to do an entire 3 years of undergraduate studies again with the LLB. I just wanted the law in a nutshell, and that's 10 months of a postgraduate diploma in law. Then I wanted to do a dissertation on a particular subject matter in the 18th century, in 18th century French history, and that's why I did that master's, which I'm very happy I did it, because it's sort of the premise for the third book in the trilogy, which Nilesh is illustrating at the moment. So I'm very happy I did it. I have very few regrets in my life. I kind of always knew, I didn't exactly know how things are going to pan out, because you never know. you don't, if I'd be a very successful psychic if I could do that, but
Yeah.
you have some idea of what you like, and you have a method of getting it. And then once you get it, it gives you advantage to do other things you might wish to do and like. So once you get the ball rolling, you'll get offers from other places. You do need to meet with people. It doesn't happen by magic. This is why I always get confused when I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not a recruiter, and I've never really applied for things. It's just people, you start developing a reputation, and then somebody will suggest, well, why don't, because these have to do with clients, you see. These are private clients, whether they're in a group that you're taking to Japan, or you're tutoring their children and they happen to be a very wealthy household. So once you do well with one project, you'll get an offer to do something similar with another family or with another company, something like that. So I never understand these posts on LinkedIn that I see where there are 6 rounds of interviews people go through. It's like, I wouldn't even bother after the first one if they can't make up their minds, you know? So I'm very old fashioned. I do believe in word of mouth and referral. I mean, that's the easiest way and the best way to do business in terms of confidence for both parties. See, I think the reason, I've never been in a company where you've had to do 6 rounds of interviews, but I imagine the reason for that behavior is because they don't really trust the person. I mean, you've got to make up your mind whether you're going to give this person a chance or not. It may or may not work out. Doing psychometrics and 6 rounds of interviews isn't going to provide any guarantee.
I know. It's I think it's partly trust, but also they maybe they do it to find out how dedicated you are, but also there's a certain figure, a certain cost for training a full-time member of staff and to retain them as well.
I suppose it depends on the role and how important it is and that sort of thing. But I wouldn't go. I would think after the second one, they're wasting my time if I were in that situation. I'm not going to play. I'm not a circus animal who's going to jump through hoops, you know. I don't have that temperament, so I've
been there. I've been there in the past before, where after I completed my master's in computer science, I applied for a job with GCHQ, and I was, my whole sort of few years leading up to that was my goal. That's all I wanted to do. So I made it pass through through all sorts of 3 different rounds of online tests, a telephone interview that was about 45 minutes. Then I went down to their headquarters, is it Gloucester or Chelmsford, and went to an in-person interview there. I even gave them DNA,
they're making aliens out of it.
They got chest hair from me. They took chest hair. They took saliva. I don't know. To check for drugs. I don't know.
No, I think you can just pee in a cup for that.
I think I gave them that as well. So
you didn't have to give a sperm sample like an alien abduction, did you?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, well, it didn't go that far. You can be thankful. You didn't make it to the final round.
No. So I had an interview, and before the interview, they gave us a question, and it was to do with network security. So I had to come up with a solution. So I went in and gave them the solution, and the 2 chaps that I spoke to seemed very impressed, and they were very happy with the interview. So then I went home afterwards, and I got the call to say, we're going to make you a conditional offer, based on background checks. Okay, so I'm waiting over a year, for all of this stuff to happen, and I'm getting into very final phases, and then they send a lady to go and interview my friends, and then
this is really anal retentive.
So they would ask my friends questions like, so what is Paul's sexuality, and what is he into, and has he ever done this, and have you really
what, so they can blackmail you later?
maybe
they have to make a little file on you before they give you an offer.
and then after that, I didn't get the job. And I ended, after all that, and I ended up doing a civil service job that I absolutely hated.
You don't think that's because your friends took the piss and gave them funny answers?
It could be. Yeah. I mean, it might be that I needed better friends. But it all, no, I don't think that's it.
You should have said you don't have any friends. Then you would have been in the job.
I have no family, no friends. Like that, I would be the perfect
that's
candidate.
kind of usually the kind of person that they hire anyway.
Yeah. So
quiet, keeps to themselves.
Yeah, like wouldn't be missed, if he went missing.
It's like that. What was that spy comedy with it's the comedian from Saturday Night Live, and she has to pretend to be like the Canadian ambassador's wife. She's, I don't even look like the Canadian ambassador's wife. And then the guy said, "Don't worry about it. Nobody remembers what Canadians look like." Yeah, it's always the bald men with the beer bellies, the kind of person you wouldn't assume isn't very interesting.
Yeah, so
be flattered that they didn't give it to you because you don't look like boring old bald man with a beer belly.
Could be. I was.
Oh, but that's always rather unfortunate if you really wanted something for whatever reason. I think you, from what I gather from you, I don't know you very well, but I mean, I think you probably have too much of a person. Because people think these kinds of jobs are exciting or whatever, and they're mostly analyses at desk jobs, I think.
Yeah.
You're not going to be jumping out of helicopters and planes.
Yeah, it probably wasn't, it probably wasn't for me. So
I think if you're too free thinking, they don't really want people like that. So
I get the feeling that there's a general trend against critical free thinkers right now.
Oh no, because nothing would work. Then you threaten the middle manager. See, if you're too smart, that's why there's all this advice about not looking too smart or too good at your job. That's very British, because then the middle manager gets threatened and will try to sabotage you and that sort of thing. Yeah, I'm sure it happens in other countries, but the thing is that if you keep your that thing about keeping your head down, like in Captain Phillips, the opening scene of Captain Phillips, you'll go really far if you just pretend you don't have a personality and keep your head down.
I can't do it.
No. Well, people like you have to be entrepreneurs or start your own thing. You just can't. There is a temperament that cannot take orders and do stupid tasks. A lot of people can do that. That's why most people work for somebody else.
Yeah.
But for people who, I mean, seriously, they might be in prison if they ended up like that. They would start up their own companies and things like that. I mean, I can't imagine Elon Musk at a desk job.
No,
so,
definitely not.
I mean, I could, but it'd be very painful to watch.
the slow decomposition of a soul.
Some people are very happy with that, Paul, because they don't see everybody's born with a different level of energy. Everybody's born with a different capacity for imagination and creativity. Everybody's born with a different intellect. And some people are perfectly happy sitting at a desk in a vegetative state and being given just enough to live on. They're very, very happy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, some of my friends get upset when they see people like this. They go, "You could do this." I said, leave that person alone. They're not capable of that.
Yeah,
they're perfectly happy wallowing in their own filth. But there are people, I mean, I'm sorry to make fun of it, but it's just true. You can't, not everybody is designed to be an entrepreneur or Steve Jobs or somebody like that.
That's not what the very vocal left would have you believe, because they want equality of outcome for everybody.
Nobody's equal. You can't make everybody equal.
Yeah.
That comes back to the South Park, the basketball argument. Are you going to saw off the legs of tall African Americans so that a Jewish person can play basketball or whatever?
I think they would.
Whatever that South Park episode with the dolphin, making fun of Kyle's dad wanting to be a dolphin or whatever, and Kyle wanted to be a basketball player, I think. You can't. People are not equal. I'm not jealous when I go see an opera. I love the fact that somebody so talented exists. I couldn't imagine harming that person because I can't be that person. I don't understand the mentality unless somebody is they haven't found their own identity. They haven't found anything that they're good at, either by nature or by practice, which everybody can hone a skill. It's not impossible, unless you have some, genuine disability. Most people are capable of doing something. And, I would never dream of wanting to take away something. There are lots of people I know who are much more successful than me, but I don't get angry at them. I'm not jealous of them because they're in completely different fields. I'm never going to be Shakespeare, but I wrote a book. So what?
Yeah.
And even if the Sphinxing Rabbit takes off like Beatrix Potter, after the author dies, Vincent van Gogh never saw how loved he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he could barely sell anything to eat lunch when he was alive and nobody cared. So I know
he had a lot of problems.
Yeah, you have to go in, and artists do. A lot of artists can go through bouts of depression. They're just not meant for this world. I mean, it's to an artist's brain. I mean, the way most people operate is incredibly boring.
Yeah.
It's just, you would go crazy. There are a lot of commentators on YouTube with their own channels that say, well, madness is an indication. It's your reaction to a crazy world.
Yeah.
So that you think crazy people are insane, but they're not. They just can't, their brain just short-circuited because they can't imagine having such a boring, mundane life.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you listen to people, I mean, people make fun of people talking to themselves in the street or on public transport and things like. But if you actually listen to them, they're not saying anything odd. What they're saying, it makes perfect sense if you just listen to them. And at some point in their life, maybe they tried so hard that they just cracked mentally. You don't know. So it's never appropriate to make fun of those people because that could be you. Seriously.
Yeah. I've never I don't speak out loud to myself, but I know lots of people do, who are not in an agitated state. We were talking about this in class last week, and one of my students said, yeah, I do it all the time.
I talk to myself. I just don't do it in public places.
Do you do it like out loud, like you would verbalize
yes, because
it?
my father does it as well. It's a way of solving your problems.
Okay.
Because if you just talk it out, it's partly to do with the fact that I do public speaking quite a bit.
Yeah.
So if I just, a lot of the time I'm practicing my talks or because I don't like to use notes that much. But if you just work out a problem, who cares if you do it in the confines of your own home? Now, if you're talking, sometimes people have a device in their ear and it looks like they're talking to themselves, but they're actually talking to somebody else. So it doesn't even matter now.
No. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got their own lives and they're busy doing their own things. I don't think people even care if you just talk to yourself in the street.
Well, in the last college that I used to work at, the Blackpool Naval College, there was a guy called Eddie Cook who used to work there. And Eddie said when he was an engineer, he worked at a company where the project manager for the company was a cardboard cutout of Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. And they said they made him project manager of all projects in the company because people whenever they were having a problem, they would go up to this cardboard cutout and they would hash it out with him and they would talk it through. And by being able to talk through the issue, they always came up with a solution. So in the end, they gave him the title of project manager.
Well, why not? Whatever it is you've got to do to resolve the problem. Yeah, there's no embarrassing. People do all sorts of strange things.
Yeah,
but I don't see any.
I was going to say, I think that's why I started this podcast. This is.
Well, you're not talking to yourself.
No, but I'm talking to many other different guests, and every now and then we'll talk about something that maybe I'm trying to sort out by myself in my own mind, in my own, in my heart. Like I'm trying to figure stuff out. So,
well, of course you talk about things. That's because if you keep it all bottled up inside, I mean, I don't think that's very healthy. I don't think that's good.
No.
So, I mean, that's partly why the confession is for, in addition to spying on people. So you have to be careful who you tell it to, because you don't know who's listening. But if I have very, very good friends. I don't have a lot of them, You know, you can have thousands of acquaintances,
Yeah.
but you have to, a friend is a different concept. It's a person who'll drop everything and help you at that moment with anything, literally. And most people are lucky in their life if they have one or two of those outside of the immediate family. So I know definitely I have enough that I can count on one hand. And anytime I have a problem, I would never, you know, the English are always apologizing. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm sorry. I would never say that to these people. They wouldn't care.
Yeah.
And I do the same for them. They know they can contact me. So it's very important to have a support network like that. And I'm closer to them than I don't have brothers and sisters, but I have a lot of cousins, and I'm closer to these people than I am to some of my own family members.
Yeah, I can definitely identify with that. I've got some really close friends, you know, some that I've had for 20 years and some that I've had for a little bit less, but definitely many of them have become, you know, brothers and sisters to me, where you know, those with the same blood have failed, like, you know, and I don't have those connections with family, and even parental figures. You know, I don't have very good relationships with you know, some of those sometimes. So
well, it depends. You're always, if you are lucky enough, first of all, everybody who has two parents still is very lucky, because that's uncommon nowadays. So, but I think we're all closer to one than the other. So in my case, I'm closer to my father than I am to my mother. And my mother and I get into arguments more than I seldom argue with my dad. So I think
why is that? Is it because are you too similar?
I think there is a natural, I've spoken about this with other people, and I think the general consensus is that daughters are in general more close to their fathers and mothers are more close to their son. There's a crossing that happens. With the genders, I don't know. So like if a mother has a son, he can do no wrong. You know what I mean? But if it's a daughter, they can get into arguments and critique each other about dress or what. It's just shallow, stupid things, really. Whereas girls always have their father wrapped around their finger, that kind of thing.
That's true.
Yeah, well, you're going to experience that.
Yeah, I already do.
In approximately T-10 years.
I know, like, she doesn't realize it now, but like,
it's already started.
Oh yeah, she's got me.
My best mate has a daughter, and she said when she was 2, she said it's amazing how early the brown nosing starts, which I thought was an interesting comment, because I don't have children, I just observe it in others, and I said, that's kind of funny that they picked that up.
Yeah, and I was worried about having a second because of the conflicts that I had growing up, and you know,
do you have did you say you have a sisters?
Yeah, right? So I have I have an older sister that I love very much. We've got a great relationship now, and she's about 5 years older than me. Then I have a younger brother who's about 5-6 years younger than me, and I don't speak to him. And then I have a younger sister who is about 12 years younger than me, I think.
Oh wow, that's quite a difference.
Yeah, so the older sister is a half sister, and then the younger brother is, you know, full brother, and then the younger sister is a half sister and no relation to the older sister.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, very.
You're a big hodgepodge.
Yeah, like a lucky dip of a family. So yeah, it's kind of, you know, I have relationships with both of the sisters. But I don't speak to the dad. I do speak to my mum. So yeah, it's but it wasn't always that way. So my parents separated when I was about 9, got divorced when I was about 11 or 12.
That's quite young.
Yeah, and then I'll probably cut this bit because I don't want to hurt my mum.
No,
like,
no. Yeah. It's better not to have personal.
Yeah. So my after my parents split up, my dad came back over to England, and then he left us over there. And then my mum and younger brother and I moved over here after a couple of years. and I don't really understand the purpose of the relocation, other than perhaps to be closer to my dad. But then she got a new husband after a while, and I didn't, we didn't get on. So I moved in with my dad, and then a couple of months later, my brother moved in, and then she vanished and left no forwarding address, nothing. So I didn't. Strange. Yeah, so I didn't hear or see anything from her until I was 18, or no, possibly even 20.
But you're in touch now, right?
Yeah, we're in touch now. We have a relationship now, but only since my daughter's been born. So
because it's the grandmother. So
yeah. So pretty much there was no relationship with her for over 26 years or something.
Oh God.
Yeah, so a very
that's a strange it must be a strange feeling.
Yeah, it is. I also left home when I was 17 as well, because I couldn't live with my dad because he was a very violent guy. So he came at me one day with a shovel, so I just said, that's it, like, I ran away, never went back, and I've been looking after myself ever since.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, and shortly after that, he put my younger brother in care, which is not good, and that sent him down a criminal pathway.
Dear.
And then in 2004, my dad killed a guy. He stabbed a friend of his, and he died. And at the same time, my brother held up a newsagent with a fake gun. So both of them were in prison at the exact same time, in different prisons for a similar sort of length of time. So that was a lot to deal with.
Yeah, that's difficult to deal with.
Yeah, but so I try to look after and support both of them, or I did, and try to, forgive them for, what they do. And
so you're on good terms with both of them?
No, I don't. No, I don't speak with either of them, because they, I didn't want any of that to impact on my life with my family and my children. And I wanted to draw a line under that and just move away. And that's part of the reason why I moved from the Northwest to here, and just got away from them completely. I haven't spoken to my dad since 2015, and I haven't spoken to my brother since 2018, and both ended in arguments. But since then,
you never know, maybe as time passes and they get older too,
maybe
there's usually reconciliation towards the end. So.
But I think I already tried that before. Many
I think
times.
It has to be up to them. You know what I mean? Because they're it sounds like they're the more difficult character.
Yeah. No, I think what I mean is, like, I try to reconcile with them, and it always ends up hurting me. So it's me actually now who's completely pulled away, and I'm living my own life. I'm in touch with my mum and my two sisters.
Well, you just do whatever makes you happy and comfortable, because your gut is there for a reason.
Yeah.
So anytime you feel discomfort, just listen to it, because a lot of people don't, and they end up regretting it.
Yeah, I think I did that in the past. I didn't listen to it, and I thought I needed to be there for them or to look out for them, but they always ended up hurting me. So
no, it's there for a reason. When I tell people, when you're taking a test, people want to put one answer, but it's the other one, and your gut is telling you. And they said, "Oh, I should have done it." I said, why don't people listen to it? Why do they distrust it? Because there's something.
It knows, doesn't it? It definitely knows. The more I trust my gut, and the more I say yes to things, the happier and better my life has been.
So always follow that. Because there are things we cannot explain about what we are. I don't want to get all David Icke on you, but
let's
like my post today.
I love that post today, because I love David Icke.
He's much traction. I think everybody's busy eating a turkey dinner.
It could be. That was the only reason. I thought, how did this not get more?
Well, I was just trying to take the piss, and it can't. Maybe because I'm not. This week's been a little bit hectic, so I'm not. I think what drives everybody's trying to figure out the algorithm, but I think what drives your own post up is how much you're commenting on other people's posts. So I haven't been doing that for the past few days. Apparently, if you just miss a day, it can send you back to whatever.
Really? So you have to be
I don't know, it's mysterious. Okay. Like sometimes I do like a ridiculous post that I go, nah, nobody's gonna read this, and that one does better than the ones I spend more time
Yeah, like there's some posts that I make that I hope get some sort of attention. Like it might be that I've done something cool or done a course or something like that, and I want to put the certificate up there. I get nothing. I get absolutely nothing. And then
I think if you're too serious or it's too intellectual, I think the sob stories do really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like, even if
do.
it's not true, if you like, I don't know, take a photo of yourself in a hospital bed or something, say you just recovered from COVID. I don't know. But it seems like the heart, if you pull on the heartstrings, those posts seem to do very well. And I don't really do that. The closest I've come to that is that when I've promoted my book, I showed the photo of my 2 rabbits that they're dedicated in their memory. But I didn't go into details because I just feel really uncomfortable putting that kind of stuff online. Because one of them disappeared and the other one we suspect was killed by a hawk, because there are a lot of falcons and hawks in the area. So I just don't like, I know they're rabbits, but they were my pets, and I wouldn't do a post just to get a lot of sales and attention and things. I just feel gross if I do.
I actually forgot to tell you last time that I too have a rabbit.
Oh, I think you did.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Biscuit. Yeah, I got it from my colleague.
What color was it again?
It kind of looks like a cat, actually. Like would you call it tawny or something? Like it looks
like a tortoise shell.
Yeah, like it kind of looks like a hare. Like, if I'm honest, like kind of speckly brown and black on the back.
Oh, it's brown and black.
Huh. Yeah.
Oh, like a calico.
I'm not sure.
Calico is brown, black, and white, isn't it? Something
right.
Like
I'll send you some pictures.
Yes.
I think it has. The ears are always up on it.
Oh, that means it's a she, is it?
I could be. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
She's very alert.
Yeah.
And very young. Did you get her?
Yeah, she's pretty young. Yeah, she's. I think Rose didn't have her for too long before we took her, because my colleague Rose, she's going to America soon. She's met a young man online, and a romance has sparked. So yeah, she's been planning the trip since. For months now. She was meant to go during the summer holidays, but because of the lockdown and the flight restrictions and Biden, she wasn't able to go. So she's going over Christmas.
Oh, that'd be interesting for her.
Yeah, and she's not from here. She's from Amsterdam, roughly that neck of the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's she's excited to go over there. So
he can go to Amsterdam because they have no problem. They have I heard they're going to change it or something, but they were one of the more liberal places in terms of no vaccine, no test, no quarantine. They just opened up. But I think that was a couple of months ago, and somebody said they might change it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it feels like everything's shutting back down again now. Yeah. That's the impression I get.
Well, they got to milk the winter, haven't they? Because that's when you can do your best storytelling for this, is in the winter season.
What is going on, Pauline? Come on, what is the inside scoop on this thing?
Well,
what would David say? What would David Icke say?
Well, I think David, I don't know, they got rid of his channel on YouTube, didn't they?
And they got rid of Alex Jones as well.
Oh, I think he's done a couple of things with Joe Rogan, but
yeah, he was also on.
He's getting really fat. I'm worried because he's not that much older than us, and he looks really big now. Yeah.
Well, he lives in Texas, and you got Texas barbecue everywhere, and you got whiskey or sour mash or whatever.
Yeah, but he looks like he's aged quite a lot after that divorce he went through.
Right.
So I don't know the details of it, and it was the Sandy Hook scandal.
Yeah.
So that probably put a lot of stress on him. And some people eat more when they're stressed. I actually lost weight over lockdowns. I eat less when I'm stressed or it's kind of a depressing thing. So it was good, and then I gained it all back in Christmas, but I lost it again because I exercise. So as long as you do exercise, it's fine.
I'm like that. I'm like a bit of a yo-yo. I'm always up and down. So have to be super careful.
No, but it's within a stone. It's less than a stone, and you can lose a stone in a month if you just are disciplined and you walk every day. You don't even have to do anything fancy. Just walk 2 miles, 3 miles, and it'll just melt off. It should anyway. And then smaller portions, and then within a month, you can lose a stone. It's no problem. It's just people have to have the willpower. That's the difficult part.
Or the time as well. I mean, if you feel like you're under pressure to do things, or you know what, the hardest thing is actually the darkness. I mean, probably where you are, you're not that affected by it, but here there's nothing to do. So when you're walking around in the dark, it's really dark. Like it's, it can be, you can be feeling quite like you really don't know what's around that corner.
Well, that's the time I would stay nice and cozy in my house and just work on a book or something, So I'm working on book 4 that will also keep me occupied this winter. So it's always nice, because you have to revise them. They take time. And this one's going to be a little bit different. It's a breaker book. So we do a trilogy, and then there's a breaker book, and then another trilogy after that. Okay. So I'm looking forward to it. It's fun to write, even if you're not going to make a book or publish it. It's always good to put your thoughts down. Some people keep a daily diary. I'm not that anal retentive. But whatever everybody's got a different personality. So if you do a daily one, that's fine. If you don't,
what is like a day in the life for you?
I'm usually, if I'm not working on I don't have a set pattern of behavior, if that's what you mean. I'm not a routine oriented person.
Yeah.
The only routine I have is that I tend to wake up quite early, 4:30 or 5. Okay. And then I have to have a cup of Earl Grey tea. That's as routine oriented as I'll get.
That's nice. That's one of my favorite types.
What I do is I have my LinkedIn window up. Yeah. So it looks like my green dot is always green, but that doesn't mean I'm on the window.
Yeah, same.
I wait for a certain amount of things to accumulate, and then I go, I better check this, or I'm going to have like 1,000 notifications. And some people don't even bother anymore. They don't, especially people who have lots of followers. They don't even check anymore because it's just too much. You'll just go insane. So what I'm doing is I'm working on new lectures. And I'm revising the information in some older ones because I have to keep especially on a country like Japan, I have to keep my information updated. Yeah. And then I'm reading a lot. I read an awful lot during the day. There are a variety of different books. They're mostly history books. And also any new books on the subjects I cover. That's very important. I have to keep updated with the news in the 4 places I normally spend most of my time. So I know the past 2 years has been difficult for travel, but if and when everything comes back to normal, I will be doing the normal round of Los Angeles, Hawaii, Kyoto, and here. So I need to be kept abreast of what's going on in Hawaii, what's going on in Los Angeles, what's going on in Kyoto, and other parts of Japan. So I do have to read on those particular things because I get asked questions about them by email.
By email.
Yeah, because I do maintain relationships from people who do invite me to give talks. So if they're going to Japan, they'll say, can you recommend such and such? Because always new restaurants are opening up. There's always new hotels. Other ones are closing down. Kyoto's changed a lot in the past 15 years. So you do have to keep abreast of those changes. And then in the evening when it's very, very quiet, like the way you nicely described, I don't find that creepy as long as I'm inside. Okay. I'm not walking around with my dress over my head or something like that, which you can do in Japan and nobody will bother you, but I'm not sure that's the case in England. Yeah. And then I'll be working on my own book, my own projects then. Because then I have to sketch out how the illustrations are going to look, how Nilesh probably is going to interpret those on the computer, because I'm not a graphic artist, unlike him. So those things take up time.
And do you have love in your life? Like, have you?
Not at the moment. It's been difficult when you during I was seeing someone and then it was a new relationship, although we'd met each other several years ago. So it was new and that kind of thing I don't think will survive lockdown. I know a lot of people got married over lockdown, but I think they've been seeing each other for a year or so. Yeah. This started 2 years ago and it was, it's just difficult when lockdown happens a few months later.
Yeah, because like the last
and you
thing...
can't see the person, and you don't, you kind of know a little bit about them, but it's not at the point where love is it's not like at the point we're gonna say, oh, I love you or anything. So it was difficult because you have to spend time with the person. And a phone call is not quite the same thing.
No. Well, I was gonna say lockdown would have given you the perfect time to get to know the person if they just happened to be over in the morning for an Earl Grey or something, and then the lockdown order happened.
Yeah, they couldn't though, because the lockdown in 2020 was very severe. You couldn't do that, right?
No, but like if they were around at your house and then there was a lockdown enforced and then they couldn't leave.
That they couldn't leave.
Yeah, like imagine that.
Oh no, I don't think that would work.
That's not a bad idea for a concept for a film.
Well, I think that's what happened with some people who they're kind of trapped with each other, and people either broke up or they got married. Whereas if you're starting in a new relationship, then that's a little bit more tricky, because you don't have the discussion about being in somebody's house or anything like that just in a few months. At least I wouldn't,
It must be really difficult, like this time period, these past 2 years, and this doesn't seem to be any sort of end to the threat of a lockdown coming. So like how are people meant to go out and be tactile with one another and interact in bars?
I personally don't think they'll do that again. I think people will get very angry because to some extent, even though nobody wants to admit it, I think people do feel like they were made fools out of. You see what I mean? So I think it's almost a slap in the face or an insult to even do that again. I mean, you can try, but I think you'll get a different reaction this time instead of blind obedience.
Yeah, kind of like what we're seeing in Austria right now. And Australia.
And you never know, maybe they want that so you can have a reason to bring more police in. I don't know what's going on. You just have to wait and see how this plays out.
It's very interesting.
It is. We just have to wait and see how things, I think interesting things will happen this winter.
Yeah.
And then after that, it will start, the focus will then be less on health and more on the economy, because the prices are going up very, very slowly in increments.
Yeah.
And people won't really feel that until 2022, I think. So we'll just have to wait and see. And maybe we can do another podcast at that time, eh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, anytime. We've done almost 2 hours. So are you...
Oh dear, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're going to cut some of it out, right?
Yeah, I think...
I would suggest the personal things that
I generally do.
So it's probably going to be more like an hour when people hear it.
Yeah, probably about an hour and a half, something like that. I'll go through it.
So anything personal, I would just remove.
Yeah, I will definitely. Yeah, and for anything that you said as well. I'll get rid of it. No worries. But we've done a long
pretty
time,
well,
and it's been good.
So you don't have to be walking around in the night being afraid. Just do a podcast. Just set all your podcasts for the evening.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean,
it would be nice for the winter because it gets dark around 2 or something, doesn't it?
I mean, generally, I'm not a very scared person. Like, I'm 6'1". So
good.
Yeah, I'm, and
but it's still nice. It's not nice to get attacked.
No, of course not. But whenever I'm walking around here, I tend to see people, move this way a little bit.
Aww.
No, it's not that.
Well, you don't look like a scary person.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not. So.
Yeah, I think generally people are a little bit wary of taller people in general. Tall. I mean, I don't think I'm particularly tall at 5'7", but the average woman is more like 5'3", 5'4".
Yeah.
So maybe it's an intimidation thing. I don't know. When you don't mean to, it's just maybe a natural.
I'm quite broad as well. I'm quite stocky in person. So, I don't think so. No, more of a friendly, small-sized giant, if anything.
Well, I think it depends on the person and their perceptions, and if you're used to seeing tall people, it doesn't bother you. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do. It's however you want to do it, Paul. But I'll be in a different time zone in December, so we can work out the time. It'll just be earlier. I'm behind you, 8 hours. So if you want to do another one, we'll email and sort it out.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do thank you for inviting me on as a guest again.
I honestly, I love it every time. It's fascinating. I learn so much when I speak with you, and you know, genuinely it is amazing. So yeah, you can come you can come on every week for me, like, you know what I mean, like, I love it.
I think I'll run out of things to say eventually. At least things maybe that are not politically correct.
Well, you know, we'll see how it goes. I mean,
it depends on what subject.
It depends how many viewers I get, like.
I mean, Dave and I are going to do one soon on the subject of luck.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting, because everybody talks about luck a lot in their posts.
Okay.
But nobody talks about bad luck. just good luck when good things happen to you. So it'll be interesting to see how that discussion goes.
I was going to say, would you prefer to have a specific topic to explore?
Well, I mean, if you want, I mean, I'm pretty easygoing, as you can tell, but if you want to discuss a particular issue or a subject, we can do that. So I'm open. You can just tell me in an email what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
And then I can talk about anything. It's fine.
maybe next time, you know about blockchain, right? So.
Oh yes, the blockchain applications are in the second book.
Yeah. So maybe perhaps next time. I did mean to talk to you about that, but we went all around again. So.
Oh no, we did that. We did quite a bit of it in the first podcast. Yeah. There was quite a bit of that in the first one.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Because you didn't cut that one, because the first one didn't have anything personal in it.
No.
So, and it was only an hour. So I think we went into great. Because at the same time, I don't want to give all the applications I put in the book away. But we can talk about just the idea of the ledger, the electronic ledger.
Or like, you know, the philosophy of it, or where you think it's going, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we could.
That's, you know, without going into details about your product or your book, but generally, like putting the world to rights. Like we can, you know, we could have like a philosophical conversation.
To be honest, because I don't use a phone. I don't use blockchain myself. I'm not in any kind of blockchain system. So I have no personal experience of it. I only know of it conceptually.
I just thought you could do the Sphinxing Rabbit NFTs.
I don't know about these NFTs. I did see the post today that Liam did about how the Apple CEO, Tim Cook, he says they're interesting. All the comments said, oh, that means Apple's going to jump on it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if he thinks it's interesting, then watch this space, it's coming.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to go about it. It's just, I just think these things are gimmicky and they last a few years, and a few people will make a lot of money, and then it's almost too late by the time most people get it.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see how it plays out. Yeah.
Definitely.
I just like as many people as possible, old-fashioned way to read my hardcovers. And you know, the Kindle is a bargain, the ebook is a bargain for people who don't want to spend. But I do like the fact that the hardcovers are travel size and they're petite, and the, you know, children with their little hands can open it, things like that, you know. So I think they're a nice, cute, adorable size, especially for children and for traveling. So you can always have a little inspiration.
I actually, when I was reading the first one, I don't know if I told you this last time, but I showed it to a colleague of mine, and she was hooked. She loved it. She completely fell in love with it. She was like, "What is this about? I need to read this again." Like she wanted more, and I said,
"Nobody knows what it's about. You have to figure out what it's about."
I said to her, I'm getting the second one today. I'm back on with Pauline today, and she said, "Oh, please let me read it." Like, you know, so yeah, she was so excited. Shout out to Emma Carey from work. She's a wonderful woman.
Thank you, Emma.
Yeah, she goes.
I suggest if you don't have your own copy that you get it. It's worthwhile. Yeah. The books are very nicely produced.
I think we're doing Secret Santa at work, so perhaps I will get her one.
Yeah, I think Amazon, the Amazon changes every day because it depends how many sales are being done. But they do have some days where the price is knocked off quite a bit. Like I've seen, because my books sell at $14.95 in British pounds, but I've seen it on Amazon sometimes when I check. It's as low as £9 or something.
Yeah, today it is. The second book is $9.72.
Yeah, so it's on a sale when I think people are buying it. They drop the price a little just as a promotion.
Yeah, they're both £9.72, so you can get both of them.
So that's a bargain there. It's just £2 more than the ebook. You get the physical copy.
You can get both of them for £19.44.
Oh, hey, that's a bargain for Christmas.
I've just added them to my basket.
So they make nice little Christmas stocking stuffers. Yeah, so that's nice that goes on, because some people, they complain, they go, oh, your books are very expensive and they're so small. I go, no, my publisher said it that way because then then discounts can be given, because people are more likely to purchase on a discount, right? It's just psychological, like all this Black Friday stuff, which I'm definitely not doing a podcast on that. It's just ridiculous. I really don't. I think one of my connections, Sam, he said, what are your thoughts about Black Friday? And everybody was writing all this rubbish about getting a bargain. And all I said was, the second I see a sign for it, or I just see somebody talking about it, I just imagine two really poor people fighting over a television. Like, it doesn't look appealing to me at all.
They call it Black Week now. I saw that in an email.
Because there's Cyber Monday now. They're just taking the piss so people can buy junk that they don't need. But hey, if my books are part of Black Friday, and I buy books. Yeah, I spend my money on travel and books and fine dining. I think those are the nice things in life. I wouldn't spend money on a flat screen TV. I don't know why people would kill or fight for that. In America, they've had killings over things on Black Friday. Like somebody wanted something and there was one of it left. And it's just, I wouldn't kill somebody over that.
YouTube. I've seen it. It's absolute chaos, isn't it?
Does it go on in England as well? I mean, is it bad?
I have seen it. Yeah, I've seen it on Facebook a little bit.
Like people fight over a product. Okay.
Yeah, it's madness.
It'd be very flattering to me if there was one copy of each of my books left. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see people fighting over. I would feel very flattered with myself. But that's not very nice, is it, to cause that kind of, commotion? Because you see, at the end of the day, you have all these organizations and people pipe dreaming. If everybody just were trained to think rationally, that everything will be okay in the world. And I keep telling people, you're never going to get around that. Most people operate on emotions.
Yeah,
you're never going to get around that. They're full of anger, they're full of fear, they're full of greed. It takes hard work to be a disciplined, rational human being. It's not easy. You have to train yourself to do that.
And most people,
because the default state is Planet of the Apes. Seriously.
Most people are naturally lazy, and with modern technologies and comforts, we're getting lazier and lazier and lazier.
Yeah, more as you can see, I mentioned that in my book.
More sloth-like.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about how to remedy some of these things next time, because most of the time, especially with Dave, we spend most of the time making fun of it, but then at some point we try to find like a solution, but really most of the time is spent making fun of it. Should I perhaps try to find a third voice? Should I find like a priest or somebody to come on with us? You mean, are you connected with what's his name, Reverend Taylor? No. Are you connected with him?
I don't.
He's quite funny, actually. I don't have any priests in my network except for him.
I would have to find one.
Yeah, I could find one.
I'd have to wander the street.
Somebody a little bit like Jordan Peterson, but doesn't sound like Kermit the Frog.
That would be amazing, though.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting Jordan Peterson? Wow. That would be...
Oh, well, I think I really like him, but
I do.
I was thinking about doing a post where I think he's very pragmatic in the sense that he's very balanced.
Yeah.
He wants people to have these ideals for themselves, but then he also is very realistic in the sense that most people can't achieve that as high a status as, say, an Isaac Newton or something like that. So he's very balanced in his approach with his 12 rules of life and all that sort of thing.
And maps.
So I do listen to his podcast, and his daughter Michaela does does an interesting podcast. It's more about because she had very severe, I think, digestive problems, dietary
like
problems.
autoimmune, some sort
Yeah,
of
so
issue.
she talks more about the meat diet that she and her father are on, because
Yeah.
he has it as well, but hers was very severe as a child.
What do you think of that? Would you try that?
I think it depends on your chemistry. I think the suggestion that is made is that you try different diets and see which one works for you the best. Because I'm very traditional. I eat a lot of vegetables and fruits. Then there are different theories, like, is it according to your blood type? There is a book called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. So there are different theories out there. And I think the sensible advice, without giving any medical advice or anything, is that you try different. I mean, there are people who do only meat. There are people who do only fruits and vegetables and nuts.
I did very well on the only meat diet when I tried it. I lost loads of weight.
So do you just eat less because it's more nutritious as well?
Well, yeah, because you don't. Well, for me, when I was eating it, I didn't have any cravings for sweets or crisps or anything like that. I was fuller for longer. I had laser focus as well with work. My mind was completely focused and clear, steady and clear, no negative thoughts whatsoever. And it was great. I got down to I lost a lot of weight, maybe more than 10 kilos or more than 15 kilos, I think.
Apparently it works very well for people, but you didn't have a condition before. You were fine.
Well, I was getting affected by bread and milk.
Carbs.
And, I was getting really bloated and really sort of just not feeling right. And but my wife just loves pastry and bread and cakes, and she's always baking, and and the kids, they go, this sweets and chocolates, and I have no discipline. Like, I just can't help myself. So all that weight
you have to join
lost,
in.
Yeah, I mean, all the weight that I lost, I put back on. So now, I
think you can indulge occasionally as much as you like, as long as you exercise. I think the problem is everybody's doing that. They're stuffing their faces and then they're sitting in front of a computer all day. So I think you can basically eat. Everybody's got a different metabolism, and as you age, your metabolism gets slower. So it's more difficult to lose weight later on. But
I've got until next Wednesday to get my ass together.
You have to slim down for your birthday party. But I think as long as you walk every day, it doesn't take long. You don't need to join a gym. You don't need to buy any equipment. There are various videos you can watch on YouTube with the instructor. They'll tell you how to move. It's actually the speed of the pace you're moving your body at that burns the calorie, and the specific maneuvers that you have to do, like tuck your stomach in while you're doing leg kicks. That's what tightens the muscles. So you don't need to spend money on equipment or a Peloton or whatever. That's just to sell junk, So you can do it perfectly for free if people just get off their ass and stand up. Just start moving, And it's always nice to go outside and get some fresh air if you're not in a big city.
It's that's great for your mental health as well. Getting outside,
you'll feel
nature.
I'm wondering if people feel so down now because they're not moving enough. Because if I'm feeling a little down, like if I feel like I have too much to do in a particular day, and then there are these meetings, I have to go to do something. If you just exercise for 10 minutes, it happens to me. You'll just automatically go back into a positive mode. I don't know if it's the chemistry that happens when you move. I don't know the details of the science of it. I know some people on LinkedIn do. But the important thing is you just get up and do some exercise and you'll automatically feel more happy and better, It's a mood changer. It's a mood lifter.
It definitely is. My granddad always used to say, if you're ever feeling sad about anything, just go for a walk. And it's true. You do feel loads better.
It resolves itself. Whatever problem you have, you just need to walk it out, talk it out, whatever you need to do. But I think most people are just keeping it inside, or they don't know how to get rid of that bad energy. And it needs to be gotten rid of. It's toxic.
I blame the parents.
Well, there are a lot of funny people who've reproduced out there, so I'm not surprised. Yeah. Maybe we can talk about that too.
Do we need licenses? That's what I want to know.
A license for what?
Yeah, to have a kid. So
I don't want to do all that Nazi breeding stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it too much, Paul, because I don't know what's going to happen in 20 years.
No.
Who knows? Maybe there is an asteroid hurtling toward
Yeah, just enjoy life.
Yeah, I think people just are going to do themselves in by pushing this genderless thing. Maybe people won't be able to you don't know why these new plant-based laboratory grown things, what kind of nutrition is in the food people are ingesting. Maybe it makes them sterile. I don't know. Because I don't know what the situation is.
Yeah, or like if you have a couple of generations of non-binary people who don't reproduce, then what are we talking about? The end of the population, right?
I don't know. You never know. Maybe Klaus has his DNA blasted out into space somewhere and he'll populate Mars or something. And then it'll be like Agent Smith. He can just watch himself replicated in the thousands. We'll have to wait and see on that. I'm not too bothered because I just want to, like my grandmother, I just want to go in my sleep and peacefully as I can. I'm not too bothered about what happens afterwards. So the important thing to do is just for everybody to do the best they can and be as happy as they can in this life.
Yeah, and be nice to one another and enjoy the small things.
I feel really bad because a lot of people, I can see something in them, but they just, I don't know. Maybe it's that thing about people having different energy levels, that maybe they're just stuck or they don't know what to do or whatever. So we try to help each other as best we can, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I do my best with my books, even though they're incomprehensible to most. So anyway, I wish you a happy, I know it's probably not a good idea to wish happy birthday before or after, but I'll probably won't see you until I get back. So I wish you a happy 40th. It's a special, that's a special birthday, I have to say.
I know, I can't believe I made it.
Like, because 40 is the new 20, as they say.
Yeah. But the ridiculous things that I've done in my life and all the dangers I've been through, I can't believe I've made it to 40. Seriously, like, it's just,
well, that's still young. I mean, people are living to 80, 90, 100 years old. So that's it's time for your midlife crisis now.
Yeah.
You have something to look forward to now.
Let's do it. I'm gonna buy a sports car or a motorbike.
The red Ferrari.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited to see what happens.
Well, the next time when we do one of these again, we'll arrange for it in December before Christmas, hopefully, if you want. Okay. And we can talk about what you did on your birthday, what you ate on your birthday. Yeah. I can't wait. It's going to be good. I think the wife has especially if your wife bakes. If she's going to bake a big cake for you.
She's definitely got something up her sleeve. I don't know what it is. She's keeping it under her hat. So
it's going to be very beautiful if she's a baker. Then
I will. I'll send you pictures. I'll send you some pictures of my rabbit.
Please! I'd love to see the rabbit. And if you can identify the breed. That'd be interesting because then I can see, because every breed has its quirks,
Yeah.
It sounds like it's something mixed.
Yeah, she's really nice and affectionate, and happily sits on your lap like for quite some time. So yeah, she's nice. Yeah. But what are you thankful for today? Well,
I did my David Icke post. And I'm thankful for it. No, it's like people don't know whether I'm taking the piss or being serious. I genuinely find him really interesting because a lot of the things he says make sense, and then the other things he doesn't make sense. But then I said in the post that it actually exercises both your intellect and your imagination in that scenario.
Yeah.
And then I did another post about I'm not being facetious. The other post I did today about having a proper enemy, I am grateful for that because it pushes you.
Yeah, it does, definitely.
You hate it. It's a bad feeling, but then it makes you want to do better. You know what I mean? It's a weird feeling, but I think it's very useful.
Yeah, without the enemy, it's what's
the point?
Yeah. I need that. Like, I had that viewpoint for years and years, and I would have ex-girlfriends would say, "You're ill, like you need to go and get help," and I'm like, no, seriously, that person's my enemy. They make me better. Like,
oh no, I've had people in Hawaii. They're very, very successful what they do in property development and all that. I mean, they're very wealthy, and they'll call somebody else, their equivalent in a rival firm. They'll say, he is my mortal enemy. And I believe them. I don't think they need mental help. You need somebody like that to drive you.
Definitely.
That's what's nice about having people in the same niche, in the same area as you, but you're all going about it in a slightly different way. So it's not, it is competition, but it's friendly. That's why I differentiated it from the person who's just jealous or envious of you.
It's almost
because
like,
that's not even that's not an equal. An enemy is a proper equal with the same level of skill. And then you're just trying to outdo each other. So you're improving yourselves actually by being in that competition.
It's like sparring, isn't it? So it's like Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson, or
they're each other's equals. They go about things differently, but I don't think they hate each other. They don't necessarily agree, but they'll communicate with each other, and then it's for other people to see which one they kind of prefer. And it's great. I think all ideas should be out there, and people should be free to choose what resonates with them, you know. So back to that freedom of speech thing. Well, so we'll have to tackle that post Christmas, because we'll have to talk about something more shallow or something before Christmas. And then we'll do the serious ones in 2020 when everybody become poor and happy, like Klaus wants us to be. So when we're poor and happy, that's going to be next year.
I'm gonna make some notes, because I'm terrible with recalling names every now and then, and sometimes I want to talk to you about different characters. George Soros, stuff like that. We'll talk about stuff like that next time.
We'll see where it goes, but I think we got to wait a little bit for the supply chain problem to kind of develop, and then the economic thing to take over next year, and that'll be more appropriate. So until then, I think we'll do a nice Christmassy one before. Let's see.
we can do. I've got beard baubles and a Santa hat. You
can dress up.
We'll do the whole thing.
That'll be great. So I look forward to it, and the next time I'll see you in Los Angeles then.
Definitely. Awesome. I can't wait. So
happy
I was gonna say happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you.
Here's to you.
Happy pre-birthday. And I'm gonna hear all about it soon, like over the next couple of weeks or so.
I'll message you. I'll send you my information, and then we can. I've got WhatsApp or whatever. I'll send you my number, and
Okay. Well, remember, I don't use a phone. It's okay. I'm fine with email. I'm fine with email.
I've seen there's some pigeons out back. I'll grab one of those.
I'm open to pigeons. That's fine. Send your rabbit. Okay, Paul.
Okay.
Have a good one, and speak with you again soon.
See you later.
Aloha.
Bye. Aloha. Bye.
We came, we saw, we kicked it.